Welcome to the Tear Show, where every tear brings a story and every story brings strength to the human heart. My name is Anne, leading you through this journey of sorrow to success. With me, we have our guest, Susan. Let's put our hearts together as we listen to her as she communicates her life story. Welcome. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Anna.
Welcome to our studios.
Thank you.
We are happy to have you today.
Thank you.
Kindly, would you tell us? I've just introduced one name, both your names. Tell us who you are, just in brief. Who are you?
Yeah, I'm Mrs. Alengo Susan. Alengo is my husband. I start Mukono. I'm so happy and privileged to be in this place today.
Wow. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're Susan. Susan, take us through your humble background. Where were you born? Are your parents around in Uganda or in Kampala?
All right, I was born in Kamocha. My father, the late Waringo Zakayo, and my mom is alive. She's Florence Waringo.
Wow.
Yeah, I studied my primary background. I went to Luzira, CU. After there, I went to Margaret Grant. But when my dad got an accident, I had to leave Margaret Grant because it was quite expensive. I went to Makshon Bay at Luzira, Luzira Prisons, and I sat my P7 at St. Mary's Chireka Project.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's.
So did we continue from there? I'm
Yes,
interested.
Yes, I continued. I went to Wampewontake for I first went to Kalinavili Secondary School. After I went to Wampewontake. Yes, that's where I went. After I went to Chambogo University.
Wow.
That's where I had my bachelor's degree in microfinance. From there, I started.
You started your life.
I started.
At what age? At what age? Maybe. I know ladies don't like saying age, but at what age did you complete your university?
Okay, I completed my university in 2011. I was around 20-something.
Or 20-something,
yes,
it's okay.
20-something. I thank God. It was not an easy journey.
Yeah.
But God took us through because we're just trying to fix things here, there. I remember when I was going to join my A-level, it was not easy. My dad was sick.
Yeah.
He was at Lubaga, but he encouraged me to join, but though I was not seeing any hope of joining, and I was not seeing the reason of joining because I loved my dad so much.
Yeah, like daddy's girls, I know.
Yes, but he encouraged me to go and pick an application.
Yeah.
The truth is there was no money, and he reached an extent, he was on coma for 3 days, and like I lost it. I thought I would not make it.
Okay.
But by the grace of God, uncles came in. He also became better after some time. And somewhere I saw myself joining. I really bless God for that.
Amen. It's good to hear, even if things became hard, your dad gave you hope.
Exactly.
And because of daddy, you fought.
He was a person of hope. He gave me hope, impacted. He was a person who loved God so much too.
Okay.
With God, God gave us hope, let me say. I'm from a Christian background, where we valued God so much, and I think it was because of God still. When you see me talking about God, He took us through hard storms and waves. but we saw ourselves there.
I'm sure
Really?
mommy was proud when you graduated.
Was.
You graduated when your
Oh.
dad was still alive?
Yes, my dad was still alive.
Okay.
I'll tell you the story ahead there.
Okay.
Yes, my dad was still alive. I remember I went with him for graduation.
Wow.
Going for graduation, our uncle dropped us, but coming back, we had to move slowly up to home.
Walking?
Yes.
Wow.
We did.
I don't know how many people really want to wear a graduation gown and walk, but that's good. That's
yes,
good.
We moved up to the main in Tinda because my dad, there was a house they had given us in that side of Naguru. So we had to get a border, some distance. Then after we moved to.
Anyway, that's good. At least
At
you
least
graduated.
The education
Education
God
is
took
there.
us through.
You wore the gown, and
I
your dad
bless
was
God. I'm
proud of that.
and I give God the glory.
Amen. I love that part. Now, I want to ask you something. After 20 those years, did you meet somebody? Was there somebody peeping at you when you're in campus, or?
Oh yeah.
Already when you're in campus, there was somebody peeping.
Yeah, maybe I didn't tell you earlier. As I first told you, I'm Mrs. Alengo.
Okay.
Alengo is my husband, as I first told you. Yeah, we met when I was still at campus. I was still at campus, but our meeting point was these youth gatherings that we used to meet at church. They come sometimes to our church, we go sometimes to their church. So we exchanged contacts from there, and we started being friends. As you also know, we moved on.
I don't have a problem with that, but I'm happy about moving from this church to the
Yes.
ministry, this church. So in a way, are you trying to tell me, I'm getting something new here, are you trying to tell me these youth ministries are good? When you visit churches?
They are very, very good because they give you time to understand someone for quite a longer time.
Okay.
Though, yes, you cannot understand someone 100%,
Yeah.
but to some extent, the more you meet, the more you associate, the more you talk to one another,
Okay.
you get to know one another.
Amen. That's good. Okay, he saw you from campus. And?
Yes, after campus, I think I worked for some time. I volunteered almost for a year without pay. So, yeah, like 10 months without pay. But I thank God after they saw the effort and the love I had for work, they had to employ me when the gap came in.
Yeah.
So when I started getting some money, I started saving. I saw there was a reason to get married.
To get married.
The
reason to get married because you started getting money already. You're already in love with this.
I was in love, but I also wanted to have a stand with something small
before getting married.
Yes, not totally depending on him. I also wanted to have a stand. So I wanted to at least be earning, even though not much, but to some extent.
Women independence. Somehow. Okay, I'll not go deep in that. Now, you got married or you jumped over in African society, we say jumping through the window.
I didn't jump through the window. We dated for like 3 years.
Wow.
After 3 years, yeah, we had our introduction. Yet when I accepted to officially get married, I was staying with my parents, but he had to come over. We introduced 2024 in, was it the 5th month in May, on the 10th of May, 2024. That was my introduction. And God helped us.
Yeah.
30th August, we wedded. What a joy.
It's a how can I say? Oh, it's a pride. I mean, for the parents and you enjoyed it.
Yes,
was enjoyed.
It was the longer-awaited day.
The longer-awaited day.
Yes.
3 years in campus
3 years.
and out. It's that I think that was a good time for you people.
It was a good time. 3 years. I included the ones I was also in campus.
In campus.
Yes.
Now you get married. And wow, for us in African society, you know how we look at things. You get married. Take us through. Take us through, because after we get married, you know what is expected of us. For many of us, we know immediately, you know, for us African mothers, we look at something immediately.
Maybe
What
I
happened?
didn't tell you something about my background. Since I joined Sunday school in church, I've never left Sunday school up to today.
Sunday school, you are Sunday school
children's teacher.
You've been a Sunday school teacher
since my childhood up to today.
Up to today.
Yes. So
there is that love of children and seeing
you cannot
children.
separate me with children.
Beautiful.
Even though you take me to Karamoja today and I don't know those children, there is a way we bond when it comes to children. So I loved children so much.
So if you love children so much, I can see this. So immediately we expect a baby, I think. I'm just trying to look at things. You know, people who love children.
Yes, exactly.
Like grandmothers. And also when a grandmother likes children, you know,
the
African
way I love children, my story, when I was young, I used to even take people's children, like I go with a mother up to home and they look for me at home, I'm not there. So this time when I wedded, I could not wait getting my own child.
Wow.
I was so happy. Obviously, we started counting. Okay, now wait. Like you count
8 months.
After.
You expect to have a baby.
Not even 8 months, 2 months. I was like, I'm not seeing any sign of what? 6 months, 8 months. Now I saw it. There was need to start looking for help.
8 months, well, that was very fast, I think.
It was not fast
but
because I was thirsty. I was hungry for a child. As you know, this African setting, I think, when you officially get married, everyone is counting. Each time you're sick, they think you're pregnant. Each time, even though it's just a malaria, like people are just, and that makes you lose it. You feel they downcast you and you feel you're so depressed because of their expectation. I could not wait going to the doctor and they tell me, what can I really do so that I can get the children?
Let me take you back. You loved children so much. The real reason for you hurrying, I don't know if I'm going to call it hurrying, for you going immediately in 8 months to the doctor, was it because of the love you had for the children, or also because of the way the society looked at you?
It was both. The fact that I loved children, now the pressure in the society added pain in my heart. Now that I was not also getting what I expected, I started wondering, what is the problem? What could be the problem? And especially when you grow up, not being jumpy here, there, and you're like, I could not wait for this time. Like you try to be as faithful as you can, and you turn back, you're like, God, I've been turning back on you. I've turned back on you. Why are things not happening? This is, I don't know how to explain, but you see the way you're paid back is not worth it. You start, you start condemning yourself. I started condemning myself. I felt I hated church. Why? Even when I go to church, there are some women who even come and provoke you. Some of them come and even tap on your tummy, and you're like, why all this? It was so demoralizing. I don't know how to state it, but like the more they do it, the more pain you feel at heart. It's like they're just tapping that wound that is already there.
What do you mean by tapping? They are checking your tummy?
Like someone comes as if he's hugging you, and someone tells you, oh, we bless God. They think you've already what? Conceived. Yet in your mind, you know the truth. You get it? You know the truth. So you go back home and you're like, next Sunday I'll not go to church.
Oh.
Next Sunday you feel like you should change the church, change environment, like.
And you're talking this in the first year.
In
Already
the first
people
year,
expected
in the
all
first year, it was too much in the first year.
The first year you're in marriage, you're supposed to be happy, you're supposed to be enjoying. This is the time you're telling me you're undergoing all these.
I would gain strength if I didn't have these other people, the social, the environment pressure. That pressure, at least I would feel it's well. But because of the pressure outside, it added on the pain that the questions I used to ask myself. We had to take a step to go to hospital.
Before we go to the next year, I want to ask you about this 1 year. Are you, I'm sorry, I have to ask you, are your parents of your husband, they are alive? Are they there?
The parents, my father and mother-in-law,
In-laws, yeah.
they are alive. But I want to thank God that again the parents didn't put me on pressure. Instead, the parents were praying for me.
Okay.
The pressure was again with the society and
people
church.
Around you and church. Not even your in-laws.
Not even my in-laws.
Do you have sisters-in-law? Because people have a tendency of saying
yes,
sister-in-laws are very tough.
I have sisters-in-laws.
How did they treat you that first year?
My sisters-in-laws, the truth is they didn't treat me bad. My husband and them, I think they had some conversation like, my family is my family and your family is your family.
I wanted to ask you this separately, but you have mentioned it. Tell me something about your husband in that 1 year.
My husband in that...
How did you see him?
In that 1 year, for him, he didn't show me that he had hope. In short, he had hope, he was strong, but it was me who was a little weak.
Okay.
In that 1 year.
In the 1 year. What about the second year? Did you get used to people tapping your tummy? How was your second year? Because you know, mostly, I think first years are not very difficult. I thought maybe second years are the tougher ones. But it happened you had issues from the word go. How was the second year?
Because of the environment. Second year, we had to shift.
Okay.
We shifted and went to Mukono. Because I used to work from Lugazi. My husband used to work this side of town. So we had to share that distance. So that also helped me to create that gap with the other people I left the other side. We used to meet now once in a while, that is Sunday. Like I cut off some people who used to give me a lot of stress. My husband used to encourage me so much. Even though I was broken, he used to lift me up. When he speaks, I listen. Like I used to feed in what he tells me. And I had some friends, like 2, who were close to me.
You are a Sunday school teacher and you're talking about 2 friends. I thought maybe the mothers of these children could understand you as a teacher and they saw you growing up, but you're talking here about 2.
I had 2 close, the only people I could disclose to. They were like my prayer partners. They were just 2. But even them, I didn't tell them what was going in my life. When they ask me, I just tell them pray.
Okay, you went to the doctor the first year.
Yes, I had.
The doctor gave you hope?
When I went to the first doctor, let me say I saw very many doctors. But let me talk about the first 3 doctors. They were like, they gave me a little hope. That things would work. A little. That things would work. But when I started the medication they were putting me on, it's like things worsened. Why am I saying things worsened? Before, the issue was only wanting to conceive, but this medication had to, should I say, turned around. I don't know whether it just didn't fit my health. Like I started bleeding,
Sorry.
like
Sorry.
I don't know
Sorry.
how to explain it.
Sorry.
But when I start my periods,
Like
sorry
you
for
bleed.
this.
No, it's okay. You bleed
When I
continuously.
start my periods, I can take like 2 months in periods. But what used to hurt me most that it would be like a short time or with a small flow, but the flow was, I can use a full packet like in a day. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It reached that time that I got tired of medication.
You just stopped. Oh,
I could not stop because
you want
the
to
bleeding.
conceive. The bleeding was too much. Now, were you
I left things of conceiving. I had to deal with
bleeding? Okay.
that bleeding.
The medication made you bleed so much. You forgot about conceiving.
Yes,
You now started fighting the bleeding.
I started fighting the bleeding. I could take, if I miss a month, that means I'll take like 2-3 more months bleeding. What was so funny with this
Sorry,
bleeding?
my sister, but you are saying you bleed every day for 3 months?
Every day to an extent that sometimes in a day I use 1 full packet of pads. Sometimes it was, even movement was hard. I can say maybe let me get a border from here, from the main to home. But even that new pad that I've just put to make me reach home, I reach when I've like that and the border. Like the flow was abnormal. But what was so funny and painful, they did not know where the bleeding is coming from.
The doctors could not see.
When I go for a scan, they say my uterus is clean. It reached an extent, I don't forget, there was Dr. Joseph, he's at late now. He was a Muzungu. It reached an extent that he said, let us try injections. It's like tablets have failed.
To stop the bleeding.
To stop the bleeding. But when they scan, they don't see what they should wash if they are to take me to the theater. Time reached when that gynecologist, the late Dr. Joseph, that was like the 6th doctor. The gynes I had seen already, like in that process. Still, these friends of mine didn't know what we were going through. It was only between me, my husband, and our family.
That's mom, your mom, and
the
sisters
family of
and
my husband.
They knew
My family and
Okay.
the 2 of us.
Okay.
This had not gone to even the matron, it had not even gone to the basement.
Wow.
As we were battling this, there is a time I was telling about Dr. Joseph. Even doctors felt they were fed up. They're like, what type of bleeding is this? Then Dr. Joseph got some injections to stop the bleeding. I was like, Susan, we don't know what we are going to wash, but we are taking you to the theater. As now, what are you going to wash that you're not seeing? It was a hard time for me. I was in hospital alone. I had to call my husband. I told him, they are taking me to the theater, but to clean the uterus. But he was like, I'm going to clean what I'm not seeing. I was like, doctor, is that realistic? It's not normal. It does not make sense. It does not add up. Because you told me if you were seeing blood in the uterus that is causing this bleeding, you will take me
To the theater.
to the theater. But you're telling me even the machines are not showing that there may be lumps of blood. But when I stand, lumps of
Are
blood
coming
just... It was beyond human understanding.
Okay.
It was beyond human understanding. But as they were taking me, they took me, what is it called, the waiting room? They prepared me for the theater. They gave me the first injection. They're like, Susan, when this one does not work, let us first call this other doctor. The topmost doctors. I was at clinic.
Yeah.
They called them. They gave me another injection. They're like, if it does not work, I told them, you people, you're not taking me to the theater. What you're going to clean, you're not even seeing what you're going to pull out of what? The uterus.
Yeah.
That my husband had to come, but he could not see me. I was in the waiting room ready to go to the theater. Thank God the bleeding did not stop, but reduced.
After that injection.
After the injection,
Okay.
it reduced a little. Like the lumps were not falling, but the bleeding was continuing. I told him, doctor, I'm going home. I got tired of myself. Should I say I hated myself that time? I started regretting. I don't know how to mention it, but I started figuring out why me. I started asking myself many questions. I was like, God, you know very well, ever since my childhood, I've been with children. Those that are not my relatives. Like that treat I used to give children, like mine. But the way I was being paid back, the payback was not worth.
What did you feel, payback? You felt God is paying back you the wrong way? What do you mean by payback?
The negative way.
The negative way.
But I went back home. I want to thank God that each time I was weak, my husband was strong.
Amen.
So when we went back, home, they added me medication. Sorry. They added me medication. We had to put our faith together. And we prayed and we said, this medication must work. It didn't happen instant that the bleeding stopped. The bleeding continued. Though thank God it continued, but it was on a reduced, like I could not now, because I reached an extent when pads could not even work. They had to pile like cottons, but at least after that time, the bleeding started reducing. So when like a month passed after hospital, after the bleeding had also, I could again get worried. When is the next period again coming? Like I even lost it now thinking about only a baby. But I was like, it would have been at least one thing. But now I'm battling what? 2 things at a go. It was a journey. I tried, after Dr. Joseph, I kept on, each time the bleeding stops, I gain more hope that maybe let us try again. We go to hospital, they give us again medication. The next time they gave me some medication that made me almost lose my mind. That medication they gave me, remember they are trying to make me conceive. That medication was when I'm going to start my periods. What happens? I get pains. Remember that time it was only bleeding.
Yeah.
No pain, but lumps.
Just
forming.
lumps. Okay.
As when I continued with the medication, this time, before I even start bleeding, I get pains that were worse than labor pains. Like when it starts, when I don't move away among people in the shortest 10 minutes, then they will just carry me from that place. The pain I get is as if they're just cutting my uterus with a sharp panga. Like it was unbearable. Crying could not help. Screaming could not help. When the pain starts, I just roll. Like I mix crying with, like people just gather. One day I remember we were at church. When I felt it starting, I had to call my husband. I told him the pain has started. And it is, when it starts, it's not constant. It just crops up to the maximum. They just carry me and take me to hospital immediately. One day, the worst day, when we were leaving church, because we have to get a border that very minute to run to hospital before things worsen. Now, one day we were from church. When I called him, I told him the pain has started. It's like, are you sure? Yes. And when that pain starts, we must leave a congregation of people around us immediately.
Because it continues being worse and worse and
Worse, because even when I was in hospital, the doctor said, I know that pain. It's worse than labor pain. So when I was in Nakawa, we had to go to a nearby clinic because I could not move. We had no car to take us. I could not sit on a border. I could not even handle sitting on a border. So they took me to a nearby clinic. In the clinic, I was just rolling. They injected me the first painkiller, second painkiller, third painkiller. Nothing was working. Men just had to carry me. And my husband had to hold me tight on a border. We ran up to Case Clinic. I don't know what type of painkiller they got. It was so painful. I've never gotten an injection that was painful like that one.
The injection that reduced the pain was painful than
painful.
The pain you are having.
Yes, it was so painful. But after a short time, like 10 minutes, the pain stopped after that injection. Then I told myself, when will this end now?
How long did you bleed, approximately? Could it be a month or an year?
Like continuous.
That bleeding, that disturbance, bleeding, and the
I
pain.
could not bleed for less than a month. When I start, if I have taken a shorter time, 1 month and a half or 2 months.
Then it stops for maybe 2 months or a month?
It stops for a month. Just
then
like
it comes
like
again.
the normal periods you have on a monthly basis. But when mine starts, it is that long.
When did the doctors get the diagnostic of diagnose what was your problem? A period.
Every doctor was telling me hormone imbalance.
Hormone imbalance.
Hormone imbalance, wherever I go. Then I tell them, what hormones is that is not balancing? Can it be balanced? They're like, that is what we are trying. That is not working out. We want to balance those hormones. But they are failing to balance. I saw several doctors. We were in that saga for like, should I say 3 months, 3 years?
3 years,
3
trying to
years
balance your
plus.
hormones.
Yes, without bleeding still.
Did you ever work?
Yes, I used to go to work. But when that bleeding starts, I used to do credit. My work was field-based. So I could pack a lot of pads, like 2 packs. Like, let me say most of my money was just wasted,
For pads.
was just for pads.
But I believe we thank God. 3 years bleeding, trying to fight in hormone balance. I think when we come back, we are going to listen. After the hormones balanced, what next? Our viewers, we are taking a break. We'll be back in a short while. Thank you.